being. What do you think about that
Well,
necessity?
that's symbolic. You
But they
know,
don't believe Jesus is symbolic, though.
the thing about monotheism compared to Eastern religions like Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, they're prepared to kill people who differ from them. And the Christians and the Muslims have fought religious wars. You know, I mean, in Europe, if you know the history of Europe, the 30 Years' War in the 17th century.
Well, I mean, you can say the same. I mean,
But
you're.
Hindus and Buddhists and Taoists, they never fight. They don't care what.
The Hindus don't care. I mean, what about the Mahabharata? That book is about a war
Yeah, but it's
of
not a
Arjuna.
religious war. It's not a religious.
But,
They're not trying to.
but God is involved in that war. He's encouraging.
Well, God's involved.
No, let me give you an example.
I've
God.
never read that.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. That's why.
You're from Pakistan, yeah?
Yeah. So in the Mahabharata, God, an avatar of Vishnu, comes down, and he actually encourages the main hero, I think Arjuna.
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita,
To fight. He actually doesn't want to because his family is on the other side, and he says no. The good must prevail. So when the central text of Hinduism is what is about a war, and the other one, Ramayana, that one's about a war as well. It's about Ram fighting with Ravana, with the one who's depicted with having 10 heads. So, and even
but these are all.
no, but they believed it to be true. That's why there's a whole book. It's not metaphorical. I mean, why have a book about metaphor? And even now, sorry to interrupt, but even now, when you look at the BJP government in India, the leader Modi, one of his points was, the point that he made was about Ram and the coming of Ram, and they believe that Ram will come again as another avatar to bring peace. And if you're looking now at what these Hindutva are doing, they are killing and they are maiming people, vigilante beef, whatever it is, in the name of their religion. The 969 in Myanmar, the Buddhists, they did exactly the same thing.
The Buddhists.
Yeah, the Buddhists.
But the thing is, look what the Muslims did when they went to India.
No. Look,
I mean, Nalanda University Library, the biggest in the Middle Ages, the biggest university library in the world. It took them 8 days to burn it down in this Buddhist Hindu university in North India, Nalanda. I mean, they had, because I can't remember they said the Quran's not here, it's worthless.
No, they didn't say the Quran's not here, Kenneth.
I mean,
Kenneth, look.
Knowledge should be preserved.
It should be preserved. It should be respected, of course. But we can't equate wars, books written on wars, with somebody burning down a library, Kenneth.
No. Well, what the Muslims did in India is like what the Christians did in South America, to the Aztecs.
It depends which Muslim ruler you're talking about. If you're talking about Aurangzeb,
you get good, you get good ones and bad
ones. But look, I'm going to tell you something, Kenneth. If I was to stand here to defend Muslims, I would lose.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you were to defend Hindus and Buddhists, the Eastern religions, you would lose, like I've given you examples.
The only thing is that they didn't have in the past they didn't have in Europe, the 30 Years' War, the Crusades, and stuff like that.
I mean, even if you get into that Oppenheimer, the movie that everyone's raving about,
I've just seen it.
You know what I mean?
Well, look, the Jewish bomb, if you like.
Well,
they were all mostly Jewish scientists working on it.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, we know that anyone following any religion will say, you know what, there's good people and there's bad people, people that understand that don't.
The nature of human beings.
Exactly. That's the point I wanted to get across. So with me, Kenneth, I can't defend Muslims, and I'm sure you can't defend Eastern religion, somebody else can't defend Christians. But what I am here to defend is Islam, is the doctrine of Islam, and that's my point. That's what I'm kind of promoting to you. That's what I'm kind of disseminating to you, not about Muslims. To be honest, I'm sure I could take you, to Jordan, and you'd find many people that love the art that you do and would appreciate it. However, if I was to take you to East London, no disrespect to the East Londoners, they would probably say, "What's going on here? Why is my man sitting there with bare tiles in his hands?" So, not to generalize. I mean, I got a lot of
Yeah,
love for
yeah,
the
yeah.
East Londoners, but the point that I'm trying to say is it's the same with the Christians. There's some Christians that I'm going to be honest. Speaker's Corner, I don't meet the best Christians, but I know, generally speaking, we're told in the Quran that the Christians are the most closest to you, and generally speaking, when it comes to the LGBT phenomena and all of this sort of stuff, the Muslims and the
Well, that's
Christians.
not really Christian. All this gay and
Yeah, I agree with you.
they don't like it any more than you do.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems insane. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenneth.
but one thing the Christians did
Yeah.
is they abolished slavery. Well, the British.
Did they though?
Yeah. Well, more than anybody else, more than the Muslims ever did.
Okay, what if I told you that it's only been about 4 or 5 years that we have finished paying reparations to the slave owners? In fact, slavery wasn't
What,
abolished.
You mean in the British? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that no other cultures ever, want even considered abolishing it.
Okay, what if I told you that in Islam, any excuse to freeing a slave, you can find copious evidence.
Yes, I know that.
Yes.
What about what they did to the Yazidis? You know the Yazidis?
Who's they?
Huh?
Who's they?
The Yazidis. They live in Iraq.
Yeah, but when you said what they
Well,
did to the
ISIS and
yeah, well, there you go, Kenneth. ISIS.
because but they were extreme Muslims, if you like.
But the thing is, look, when it comes to the actions of ISIS, they have not only been condemned, they have been mass condemned to such a degree that you can speak, like studies have been done asking lay Muslims, what do you think about ISIS? They don't represent us, what they're doing is wrong, we condemn their actions. It's very obvious that the average layman does not equate their actions to that. For example, the 969 of the Buddhists. The Buddhists will not claim that the actions
What of the Buddhists?
969.
What's the nice
That's my point. I mean, ISIS gets promoted by the media. 969, people don't know about the 969. 969 is an extremist Buddhist.
you get all religions.
There you go, Kenneth. There you go. But the 969 people haven't even heard about them. The Kahanists of Israel. Have you heard about them?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. But have you heard about them? No, he doesn't know.
Meir Kahan, yeah, he's
Yeah. Well, you're somebody of wise. You remind me of a saying of my teacher. Sometimes I get white hairs, and he says, "Look, these white hairs didn't turn white in the sun. They turned white because of wisdom and experience.
Yeah.
Experience. So I mean, I can see,
I'm 77 years old, so.
and a man of experience. That's why.
you know.
That's why we're having kind of an honest discussion. That look, when a point gets put forward, you're saying, you know what, and you've accepted. There's zealots in each religion.
Yeah. No, I accept that, yeah.
So it's the same. Unfortunately, I'm sure you'll accept that when it comes to the propaganda machine and the click rates, the Muslim extremists, like Georgia State University said, Muslims get 4.5 times more exposure, the Muslim terrorists, than say somebody else. But since 9/11, 73% of the attacks have been done by far right. So the numbers, like Jay-Z
Well, it was
said,
Israel that did 9/11 anyway, I think. More than likely.
wouldn't be surprising, is what you're saying, yeah.
Because they wanted, or in the government, Biden's government, I can't remember, he said Biden's got enough Jews to form a minyan, which is a synagogue, in the government. That's what this stupid war in Ukraine.
I agree with you.
Hopefully Russia's with because Putin is, he's a reasonable man. I mean,
his Orthodox Christianity definitely is.
Oh, he allows. They built a huge mosque in Moscow.
His respect for the Quran is also commendable as well.
Well, he's going to make it illegal to burn the Quran.
Yeah.
Because obviously people who do that
Pointless.
You know, they do it to make you angry,
Yeah. Exactly,
for
exactly.
sure.
And but don't you find this interesting that when the Bible gets burnt, people are like, man, it doesn't really matter. There's so many different versions of the Bible. Which version of the Bible are you actually burning? And is that the Bible that has this verse in it? Has that been taken out? With the Quran, I'm sure in your travels you've realized there's one Quran that you'll find in any country that you've gone to. You can recite the Quran. No one's going to come and say, which version have you recited? Is this version that? Don't you find that fascinating in your travels as well?
Well, because they have this sort of oneness, you know, they want to make everything kind of,
That's
you know.
because one God, one book,
What about
one
the
final
Shia?
message. Yeah, but look, Kenneth, even with the Shia, I think that's a good and honest question. With the Shias and the Sunnis, we believe there's one God, no difference of opinion.
Yeah,
We accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
I know it
No,
was a succession.
but do you see though, it's the fundamentals, Kenneth, that are the same. You can explain monotheism to a 7 year old, a 6 year old, to a 20, 30 year old, to somebody in a village, to someone in a city. But Trinity is somebody, you go to a vicar, you go to a priest, it's something that you cannot explain. And if this is something that's going to determine me going to heaven or hell, surely it should be something whose fundamentals are explainable. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, the Trinity is not that difficult to explain.
So you've got the Father, you've got the Son, you've got the Holy Spirit. These are three, but they're actually one. So Jesus
Well,
came.
because
Come on, Kenneth.
it's
You don't believe that, Kenneth. You don't believe that. I'll tell you why. Because
well, you know, it's beyond.
no,
Even the
Kenneth.
oneness of Allah
It's
is
not.
beyond
You
human.
look.
It says
You don't
that,
believe that, Kenneth. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Look, you got a 6 year old child. There's one God. How many gods are
oh
there?
yeah, you
One
mean
God. Okay. You speak to another 6 year old child. Okay. There's the Father. There's the Son. There's the Holy Spirit. But they're one. But when Jesus died, God died. But God didn't really die. He prayed to God. Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani. Oh my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But he's praying to himself because he's God. God's dying because he's for original sin. But so he has to do a blood sacrifice. But this is a sacrifice that Kenneth, come on, doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
but look, the
Go on,
sort of
Ken.
the religions that still exist today.
Talk about Islam.
Well, Islam,
Yeah, go
but
on.
you know they produce beautiful. Well, as Putin he talks about Russia as a civilizational state.
Yeah.
You know, not before they were communists, trying to spread it all over the world. You know, it's become the complete reversal of, you know, when the Cold War before, when you know, the Americans have become evil, and the Russians are fighting for, you know, civilizational values. Because if they win in Ukraine, then the Americans, you'll have all their LBGTs, you know, all that nonsense there as well, for sure.
But being somebody that acknowledges that there is a God, you know the importance and the need for morality. And morality only comes from
Well, yeah,
religion,
yeah, yeah,
objective
true. Yeah,
morality.
yeah, that's why, you know, religions, there's bad sides of religion, but they have a good side in that well, they believe in, like, no theft, murder, or adultery, you know, which is, you've got to have them for civilization to, because otherwise, you know, men will be trying to steal another guy's wife or whatever, you know, like, so you
But
have
I
to
would
have
argue,
those things.
but I would argue, in Christianity the principles are more vague. They're very much open to interpretation. Other than the Ten Commandments, things are very open. Things are very kind of, could it be this way? Could it be that way? But in
Only the
Islam,
sort of theology, you know, the sort of,
is he your friend?
yeah.
So
I'll think about it anyway.
yeah, no. I mean, it's really nice kind of speaking to you, and hopefully we speak again. And yeah, it was really interesting hearing about your travels and going back and forth. And I'm here every Sunday if you want to come.
Yeah, I'll come here.
Yeah. Kenneth,
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Take care. Take care.
Thank you.
I thought he was your friend.
Huh? This is Jack. He's a friend.
Okay.
Did I miss something interesting? Anything interesting?
Well, it was a mission.
Yeah, yeah, that was nice. That was interesting. Is this one of yours? Yeah. Oh, these two are ours, bro. What is? I don't like this. They just come, they just leave it. There's no one here to take it.
You put poison on me.